know that I'm no joke. No joke, baby, I'm no joke. Oh, na, na, na. No joke, baby, I'm no joke.
Talk that talk. I am your host, King Rems. To my right, we've got our usual suspect, Miss Ariete Santos.
Suspect, you know.
Are you looking real criminal in that shirt, though? You looking
I
good?
know, you know, bright colours, you know, summertime, summer 2020.
Gotta be done. Well, COVID ain't really giving us much of the summer, but we trying. To my left, we got Miss Faith Fontaine. How you doing, girl?
I'm good, hun.
Yeah.
Glad to be back.
Oh, definitely. We out here. We've got our original cast member who we kept hidden from you on season 1 because you just weren't ready. We got Porsche. How you doing, Porsche? You good?
I'm fine, thank you.
And we've got our Miss Firecracker herself, Elizabeth. How you doing, girl?
I'm good, thanks.
Wicked. Today what we're going to be discussing is, are fathers valued in the same way as mothers by society? And I believe this was your topic.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
So it'd be good if I could get a bit of an introduction on why you brought it to the table and what we're going to be discussing.
Don't know, I was just kind of thinking about my own dad, really.
Mm-hmm.
And just recent life events and just thinking about just how great he is.
So do you
And
feel that they are as valued by society?
I don't.
Okay.
I really don't. I feel like even just when you compare Mother's Day and Father's Day, you know, there's a lot more like pageantry and celebration behind Mother's Day.
Your mothers go smart, fathers get socks, innit?
Well,
Yeah.
the mums tried to jump on the Father's Day. I'm your mama and your papa.
Oh yeah, that too.
Okay.
Happy Father's Day to me.
So I don't know about Ariete. How do you find the imbalance?
In what way, sorry? What do you mean?
So
by
in
that?
terms of how society values mothers over fathers.
I feel like it's just socially conditioned from young, like from when you're a child. I feel like in terms of it's just sex roles and how when he grows up to become a man, that is going to be his role. He's going to play a father. You know, we socially condition children that you it doesn't have to do that. Your sexuality has nothing to do whether you play with a boy. But you understand what I'm trying to say? You know what? He's socially conditioned, and that's the reason why we have more emphasis. Like mothers have more.
I think fathers are just conditioned to feel like they have to just go and provide. Your job is to go,
Exactly.
to provide. You're not necessarily required to be as emotionally present, even though there is a requirement for fathers to really set boundaries and provide security and, I guess, really provide that kind of foundation for people to really feel safe.
I think it depends on the household that you've been raised in, because like you have some single mothers, but the dads are very proactive, and then you've got
So wait, can you be a single mother if the father's around? I don't know, what's the definition
No,
of
you're a
single
single
mother? I
mother.
get mad confused.
No, you are. Well,
So I'm a
it's
single mother.
in the household.
House.
In the household, so it's not like there's marital bondage there.
So in terms of like marital bondage, what's your definition of that in terms of like the single mother and the element of how?
Yeah, so you've got single mums that obviously the dads can be proactive, but they're not together. Whereas you've got children in a household where the mother and father are together, and I find in that sense that the fathers are valued a lot more.
Okay.
My mum and dad separated from when I was young, but they were best friends for my whole entire life.
Love that.
And so my dad was never undervalued. He was always valued as my dad. So I do believe, one, it comes from what the parents are teaching their children, for one, in the household, and two, if you're used to having your dad around, especially being a girl, you know, you've got the daddy's girl thing.
Yeah.
Girls will actually fend for their dad more in the home when the mum's there.
Listen, you know there's a real scientific fatherless syndrome. There's a fatherless daughter syndrome, which springs fear of abandonment, difficulty interacting and being comfortable around men, self-esteem, these Instagram thoughts. And you know I had to throw it in there, you know how I do. Also, they struggle to build and maintain healthy relationships. They tend to be more promiscuous.
So in other words, baby daddy issues. I mean, what's it? Daddy issues.
Daddy issues.
Which can actually lead into baby daddy issues. And then they make promiscuous decisions that then perpetuate the cycle. So in terms of kind of the single father thing, we've got 13.5% of single parents are led by males. So I think that there is a raw deal for them, even in terms of how the court system works. Because if you're a woman and you can't fend for your kids, you get benefits. If you're a man and can't fend for your kids, you're a batty man. So it doesn't stop. Like in America, you go to jail if you can't pay child support. But if you're a woman, you get your EBT card. So in terms of how it's set, I think the system is against
men.
Yeah, I have to agree with that, definitely.
Because I feel like back in the days, you can understand why, because obviously women didn't work.
Yeah, they weren't allowed
They
to
weren't allowed to work.
Back to the old
House
school.
people, exactly.
Yeah.
So I understand. But now we're basically,
We're equal.
We're equal in a sense of like.
I mean, we did discuss in season 1, do women really want to be equal? I don't believe that we do. But
anyways,
I don't think that parental responsibilities are equal. Really, they can't be. Not en masse, because I think one of the reasons why fathers are perhaps mainly underappreciated is because women tend to play the nurturing role. So it's a lot more tangible to see a nurturing role as opposed to the providing role. So in a way, like, the men get sort of cast off, and then you bring in the whole thing of like male archetypes, being that kind of stoic dad that's in the background, keeps quiet, goes to work, comes back, deals with all the crap from the family and just plods along. It's just easy to like sort of overlook the presence and the importance of men. And actually, I was watching a really, really good show recently called This Is Us, I think, on Amazon. And I just think it's one of the most brilliantly depicted dynamic of a father. And it really makes me think of my dad and think, my goodness, like, men go through so much in the family unit. Like, this man, he had alcoholism at one point. His kids didn't even know. And these are some of the things that fathers have to deal with. Not saying that dads are alcoholics, but they might suffer some kind of trauma, just like we in our daily lives. Like, we all have our issues. Imagine being a dad where obviously like the whole of society is saying like Mother's Day, even just like Mary, the mother of Jesus, like you don't get Joseph being celebrated and stuff. And you just go out.
Sorry, just to cut you guys short. But what do you call it? We can obviously say that fathers, depending on what society we are, so it's cultural.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Say, is there a cultural element?
No, there is a cultural difference, because in, like, let's just say for instance, more of a I don't know, African sort of household.
Black and Caribbean household.
Black and African household.
Yeah.
We expect the father to be the breadwinner. Yeah. The guy who brings home the money.
The disciplinarian.
Sort of. So for me personally, it depends on what you value as a father. So it's not a objective sort of
it's not a one-way view. It's perceptive of different environments.
It depends. Some backgrounds, say for instance westernized sort of cultures, i.e. the UK and stuff like that, they may see fathers more as not necessarily breadwinners, but they expect them to go out to the park and play football with them, etc., be present in that sort of way. Yeah. So I think it's a subjective thing whether fathers are valued in society. Majority of the time, going in call to what you said earlier on about women being nurturers and stuff like that, that is the way in which we tend to look at it. But I feel like the shift... not necessarily.
No, because men do a...
If you go by science alone, right, we technically value women, mothers more because of mitochondrial DNA. We're made up. We've got identical DNA to our mother, which we don't have with our father. So maybe there's something along this line where we naturally draw to mothers.
Yeah, but we give mothers so much slack. You could be a shit mother and you don't get the heat that you would get if you were a shit father. So I think that's unfair.
I disagree because I feel like a bad mum just stands out like a sore thumb. When you see a bad mum, it's like it hurts you here. Whereas I'm not saying that. In a way, if you see
more empathetic, they're like, oh, maybe she was abused or she's got mental health issues. No,
I don't even think that. I don't even think that.
What she's saying. So basically, I feel like society is giving fathers a bit of a pass. Yeah. It's either you want to be there, and if you are there, you're celebrated, or what do you call it? You don't have to be there. It's just like, I didn't want the kid anyway. So it's a thing whereby, no, but it's true. It's a thing whereby
again, it depends on the society as well.
If the woman wants to have the same sort of mindset, then she'll be classified as a bad woman. I mean, a bad mother, etc., and people are more likely to give her a lot more slack, opposed to.
But nurturing, when we talk about nurturing, what is nurturing? Because there's different elements of nurturing.
Mothers are known to be the primary caregiver.
I understand. Every child, it's like it's what I'm saying. Like we add different teachings and different elements of nurturing. Because sometimes, if in a household, girl children, dads tend to be actually more nurturing towards girl children than they are with boys, because boys they want to teach a boy how to be a boy and so forth.
But then you go to Freud's psychodynamic theory.
I'm just saying.
You got to give it
psychology shit in. A perspective, because sometimes moms, for example, tend to be. I'm just taking my family for example. My mom was the discipliner really in the house.
Seriously?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, so she's
My mom was.
Yeah, she's like
my
my
dad.
mom is the my mom. Was a primary carer. My parents were separated, but they co-parented and so forth. So my mom took literally the single mom type of the main role.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, when my dad was slacking, she had to pick up what she needed to, she needed to do. She did what she had to do. But one same with me, with my brothers. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, that tends to be
No,
much
I don't
more,
get what you're trying to say.
That tends to be more, well, basically, that tends to be more nurturing with their girls and
more gentle.
My moms tend to be. I feel like my mom taught me how to be very independent. She was more assertive in her discipline than she was. There was what I'm trying to say is different ways. There's different nurturing. There's different ways of nurturing.
I think mothers they're more logical. They teach you practicalities, whereas fathers they teach you how to value yourself. They teach you the role models they role model the men you have in your life. So I think 70% of unplanned teenage pregnancies come from fatherless households. So if you look at it like that, women tend to be more promiscuous. They tend to lack the foundation, or they have more of a checkered history or relationship with men or with themselves, which is that's not my opinion. That's just fact.
I don't agree with that. Sorry to cut you short. I really don't agree with that. Like, if we go,
you don't agree with the science.
I don't think it's science. Like, if we're going according to like Darwin's theory and stuff like that, like women are more invested. Like, we carry children for 9 months. Do you know what I mean? A guy could spread his sperm far and wide.
Future.
Like, do you know what I mean? He can spread it far and wide, so he can birth like how many kids in the matter of what? How many? You know what I mean? Yeah. So women are more invested, hence why we're more primary.
Allegedly.
No.
But
if
I have
we're
to
pregnant,
say,
if we're pregnant, we get pregnant. We're at the game for 9 months. Do you know what I mean? So we have.
No, but with Darwin's theory though, but primitively, when a man spreads his seed, it's amongst a community.
Yeah,
so
true.
it's the children are all raised amongst a community together. Whereas when it happens in today, he can go anywhere. Like the mums are not coming together to raise the kids together.
Because I think we've all unanimously agreed that fathers are undervalued.
Yeah.
So how do we improve the image and perception of fatherhood in society? How do we as women work to improve
Let me go on media. So one thing with media, when you see like a diaper advert, you always see a mom and a baby.
Touché.
You see anything to do with babies and kids, it's nice. And if the man's involved, the mum's still there. You will never, it's very rare you see. So first of all, we need to start with media, having images of fathers, men, being with their children.
And not glorifying the absent fathers. Like the amount of memes you see of Future and them thing there glorifying it like
it belongs to the streets.
I'm busting you and make you a single mum.
He
like
does.
That kind of things, you can't run with that.
Yeah.
I think at the workplace as well.
What Liz was basically saying. So if we have to do that, then we have to go back to what I told from what I said in the beginning about social conditioning in terms of like kids not being able to play, children not being able to play with dolls, for example, baby dolls. And I feel like if we start, because we have this very stereotypical view of that is for girls. Why is it that sexuality has?
But is there not a line? Because I don't want my son play with dolls too
But then I
tough.
thought, why? I'm not gonna lie. But I feel that way though, because I feel like it's insecure within yourself when you feel like sexuality.
Like, they stated like the roles that's already been there. Do you know what I mean?
but
Like,
then
the roles in place
feeds into the whole media stuff.
Yeah,
about
but
men's roles.
You can teach.
I have a question.
No, you can teach him to be a father and nurturing, but he doesn't have to play with a doll.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, does a man have to be that nurturer in order to be celebrated though? Can we not learn to celebrate dads for the roles in which that they are, which is the man that goes out to provide? Yeah, he can be nurturing, I'm sure he is, but
now as well.
But
they do.
Moms are the breadwinners. Sometimes moms are the ones that are bringing in more of the check than I'm just saying. So if we have to, I don't feel like that's.
I'm not saying exclusively. I'm not saying.
You know what, Ari? You're just proving a point because all you're talking about is mums, and again, it seems like we're undervaluing the dad because you're talking about mums. I'm just saying what it seems like.
I think in terms of media perception, I can understand from both points. The dolls thing, even like being in the LGBT community, is a bit queer. I'm just saying. I think we need to give men the platform to have that emotional dexterity and be the best father that they can be. I think in terms of kind of the perception, we've also got to look at the legal system. We've also got to look at the benefit system. So things like Flying Start and Bright Start, which are under 5 services, it's always aimed at mums. So kids' playtime is always aimed at mums. The benefit system is aimed at
Mommy
mums.
and babies.
Paternity leave is a real issue in my. I think it's disgusting that you get 2 weeks statutory. What the heck?
Ridiculous.
Like, does the baby not need the dad for more than 2 weeks in its first few weeks?
To not appreciate the roles that fathers play.
That needs to be addressed.
Overstates the importance of having a father.
I don't have a problem with that because, like, let's just say, for instance, we've got a promiscuous man.
Yeah.
Hey.
Do we have do promiscuous men exist? Is that a thing?
Not being funny, but listen, I'll answer that question, right?
Go ahead.
If there's social, I think with this, if a guy was to keep taking 2 weeks off here, 2 weeks off there, because he keeps producing these children, as an employer, I feel like there's a social like, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, no, like pressure. People are going to be looking at him like, he's a bit of a hoe, like, why are you off work all the time?
No one's
Do you know what I mean? Unless
no one's gonna. If you're a woman with hella kids, you're gonna be like, listen, your vagina is baggy, bro. If you're a man with bare kids, they're gonna be like, oh, he's doing his thing. He's out.
Yeah, but at least you're gonna have.
I'm sorry if I'm employing you and you keep running off every 6 months
You have a
to.
face. That's why.
I'm gonna think. I don't know if he's gonna be the most productive employee.
But that's an assumption because he could have kids spread everywhere. If he's a good father, does it matter how many baby mums he has? That's
very
exclusion.
True. That's
exclusion. Because father, listen, Future, as much as he's a pagan, all of his baby mums, apart from the last two,
he tried to not pay for the last one.
But even DMX, great father, what about when he was not on crack?
I feel like paternity is important because a lot of people forget that women go through
postnatal depression. Yeah.
And when you're going through that, you need a supportive partner because a lot of the time, you know, even just breastfeeding, they might have anxiety. And so having a supportive partner is important for the baby's development and well-being. So I feel like giving a father 2 weeks, a father is it's essential for the father to be there because they are the backbone of, you know, of actually, especially the early years. So even like for example, when my daughter was premature and there was a time, you know, and being the fact that she had to have depend on oxygen, and I was very like anxious about stress. I couldn't even sleep. So having him there to just watch her whilst I have like a 2-hour nap, I was able to rest. I was able to breastfeed her. So it is important. So I do believe that what you said.
Yeah, even with like my upbringing, like my parents were my family were the only ones here in this country. Like every single family member is abroad, mainly in Nigeria. So when I was born in Nigeria, but my younger brothers were born here. So when they were born here, literally my dad had like 2 weeks, whatever it was. And he was self-employed for my last brother. So he really had to go back to work because, you know, and it would have been very good for my mum to be able to have him to stay because she couldn't rely on her mum being able to come, one of her sisters or anyone. She literally had to look after us until he came home at night. And I think like society needs to be able to take that into account and support.
Brilliant segue. What are the role of fathers in society today, in your opinion?
The role of fathers
in society today, in your opinion?
Do you mean what they are? What I hope want them to be?
Shit, you can both, girl.
I think for me, I feel like the role of a father in today's society is what it always should be. There should be a father. I'm not saying you should stay with your girlfriend or your wife if things are not working out, but you should be present. Or whatever it is, if you brought a child into this world, you need to be there because regardless of whether you spoke about promiscuity and all that stuff, but like what about men that grow up without a father in the household, you know? I think there's a lot that happens in those formative years, even through to adolescence, having that positive male figure in the house is a blueprint to how you will become in your adult years and how you would therefore conduct yourself in relationships and as a parent yourself, male or female. So I think that to me is important. And also being able to see your mum and your dad, whether they're together or not, be able to exist in somewhat harmony together in something that's healthy. That speaks volumes. Like
I am the biggest,
it really does.
I'm the biggest advocate for co-parenting, and we know that toxic mothers exist, and we know that toxic fathers exist, and I feel sometimes children are too much put like they're in the middle. They're basically a pawn in a relationship. Exactly, and I feel like because sometimes. And you know that I don't like moms that use their children to get back at the fathers. I don't like that. I'm not supportive of that. But at the same time, I feel like because there are situations where fathers they will be like, moms will stop. Basically, stop their children seeing their dad. Obviously, I don't agree with that because I feel like you have to separate the two. However, can I just say something? It's important for both parents to have mutual respect for each other because I feel that sometimes. Men will shout, she doesn't allow me to see my children, but you're literally disrespecting the mother of your child in front of your child. You are the mirror. Parents just need to understand you are the mirror to your children. So when you're out there bad-minding the father of your children or bad-minding the mother, like they're looking at you as a prime example and your whatever environment that you're creating. And I feel like it's like adults become kids and they forget that it's like it's not safe. They forget their children and the children's needs. And sometimes when parents forget their children's, they're so wrapped up in their own needs, interests, and their own feelings, and they forget the child things. So what you were saying is so important in terms of like co-parenting and just think about your child because your child is the most important, and it increases anxiety, it increases depression on children, and parents don't notice.
It reduces their prospects as well. So Croydon commissioned a study into 60 young people. 72% of them had absent fathers. And within 5 years of the study that ran, 3 of them got stabbed, 5 died, 19 were expelled from school, 23 of them had spent significant time behind bars, amongst other negative statistics. So fatherless, childhoods, regardless of whether you're a boy or a girl, is really, really impactful.
Yeah.
So I think you're right, using them as pawns, men tend to get a bit iffy when women start giving them the goods, and it's like, well, I'm not coming to see my youth then if I ain't going to press in it. That's fuckboy shit, innit?
That
it's the
Remy, just carrying on from what you said.
Yeah, to run with the question, what your view is
fathers
of
then
society.
need to stop treating fatherhood as an option then. Because I get not all of them do it, whatever, cool. But but it's true, the fact that you've got a lot of them out there that treat fatherhood as an option, whether they want to be in a lady's life or not. That's what ruins the whole
the co-parenting.
Not even the co-parenting, whether we value men.
Oh, okay. Undermines it.
Do you know what I mean? Because it's just like, do you know what I mean? Like the fact that you're treating it as an option, whereas the woman is just left with the option of looking after the child. Do you know what I mean? So for me personally, do I think that fathers are valued in society as much as mothers? No, they're not. But I blame fathers who kind of treat it as an option.
So what are the roles of fathers in society today, in your opinion, Porsche?
I'm traditional, so I believe they should be the breadwinner. Obviously, they should be there to support the wife.
So what are you doing?
Emotionally.
You out here making money as well?
Of course, I'll be pushing out the baby. What are you talking about? That's a different topic.
Because we wanted equality in season 1, so what are we doing here?
That's a different topic for another day. But my thing is that I value a man. Like, say for instance, if I was to have a child and stuff like that, I would want him to be the breadwinner. Obviously, I'm not in that situation just yet, so my opinions may change. I may want him to be there to provide emotional support and stuff like that. But just going off based on tradition, I'd want him to make the money. And
can I ask you a question then? And actually for everyone, really.
Yeah.
So would you have a problem because childcare? I don't know if you guys know about childcare.
Yeah.
Childcare is literally a second mortgage.
Yes.
For 3 days. Let me just say, for 3 days I had to pay £690 for my daughter to be.
Was she getting 3 courses a day?
What's that? Is that per week or?
So basically, you're looking at £700 a month for 3 days childcare. Now we know the average income of most people is like 25k, right?
£700 a month.
The average, some people, I've been blessed to kind of earn more than that. But let's say, I'm just going to go jumping from what you're basically saying. So a lot of people decide to, someone works part-time and another person works full-time.
Okay.
So we're talking about the value of a father. So would you have a problem, for example, if the father of your child worked part-time and was the primary carer of your children to cut down cost of childcare and you worked full-time? Let's say, that your job... You wouldn't.
I wouldn't mind that. Yeah, I wouldn't.
So
mind
you
that.
wouldn't mind
if I felt like okay, cool.
But then
my
you'd be the breadwinner, basically.
Yeah, whoever's making more money.
Yeah, me
It's as simple as
personally,
that.
I'd rather be the primary caregiver. But if it was a thing whereby we spoke about it and he'd rather stay at home, look after the child.
No, there's no rather stay at home.
Yeah.
You get that
But
option.
just for the sake of-
I better be making more money than you while you're
Just for the
staying at
sake of
home.
the question.
It's not an option.
Then yeah, I totally wouldn't mind that. But for me personally, I feel like a man's role is to be the breadwinner.
But you're open to different
I'm open
sides.
to different things. Things may change.
Right,
But
so
you're
to
not-
wrap it up, Elizabeth, what is your view on what a father's role should be in society?
A father's role should be to take care of his children and his the mother of his children. Simple as.
Even if they're not together.
Even if they're not together. Because
Alright.
there needs to be a level of respect for the mother regardless,
Yeah.
and she is raising your child, so you've got to take care of both. If mum's down, baby's down.
Touche.
I think it's both ways. I'm sorry. I feel like sometimes, listen, emotional abuse. I think sometimes like. Okay, I'm not going to go into that. That emotional abuse.
No, go on. No, carry on. Go. No. Let her finish. Land.
No, I just feel like we don't pay enough attention to mothers who actually emotionally abuse fathers.
No.
We downplay it.
But can I ask a question? Is it as rampant as women that don't? Is it really as rampant as women?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to stick up for women that do bad things. I just don't know many women. I'm asking as a question for to learn.
Okay.
Is it as rampant for women to be as toxic like that than it is not to be?
I know men
In actuality.
I know men that basically became depressed due to the emotional abuse by the mother of their children. Because think about it, that's your child there. So if a man really wants to be part of the child's life and he's a good dad and he's a good man, and there's a woman standing on his right, remember, like you said, the system ain't for the dads. It's emotional abuse, and we really have to. I feel like it's very like.
Listen, women.
But is that like in a certain type of microcosm though? Because it always.
Women are toxic when it comes to dads sometimes. Because they know they've got the power, they do some messed up shit and make the fathers have to pay.
I've known women,
Big
I
time.
know of women who have been in relationships with men because they haven't got what they wanted, whether it be financially or whether it be attention. They're getting the kid to call the next man daddy. They're like.
That's disgusting.
Oh, yeah, try to breathe again, told
It's
you.
wild though, and it's a popular thing. A lot of women.
Can I just ask quickly? You know the birth certificate thing. Does the father still have to be present before the name is actually put on the?
Yes, because.
Okay.
Oh, I have no idea.
Cool.
Well, do you know what? This has been a very interesting conversation. But it'd be good to get your views. So make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. We've been Talk That Talk. Thank you very much for watching.
No joke, baby, I know